All right, it's prediction time for 49ers Rams. I'm out of the water, swam in the bay this morning. Got a great sandwich. We're going to feature that in a little bit. It's going to be the pregame meal. And time to head off to Levi's in just a little bit, right after this video. Going to get there nice and early. It's sunny right now in San Francisco. It rained overnight. There are some light showers in the forecast down in the South Bay this evening. I can tell you that when I was just swimming in the San Francisco Bay right now, it was really windy, like the pre-storm or mid-storm kind of wind. So we're probably in between weather systems right now. And there was like a big piece of wood that was just kind of washing ashore. There was some debris, some wooden debris, and this big log piece of wood that was there. So the water was doing some crazy stuff today. I was swimming a little bit of a storm surge in the ocean, but I don't know how heavy the rain's going to be. That's obviously significant. If there is one thing that has made Brock Purdy struggle over the course of what's been an illustrious career so far, this first 3 years, most games with a passer rating over 120 in NFL history over his first 3 seasons. But if there's one thing that has made him struggle, it has been a wet football, right? We can go back to Cleveland. That was week 6 of 2023. We can go to the playoffs against the Packers last year in the divisional round, and we can go to the snow game in Buffalo. He's really been able to avoid wet weather outside of those games. But the 3 that I talk about have seen a definite lack of efficiency for Brock Purdy due to several plays in both of those games where it didn't appear he had a very solid grip on the football. I could also add the very hot game inside at Minnesota this year. That was in week 2. The AC didn't seem to be working right in that stadium. It was pretty hot outside at the time in Minneapolis, but it was humid inside. Like I was talking about, I'm sitting in the press box. I'm like, it's humid, guys were sweating down on the field. Purdy also had the ball slip out of his hands in that game. Anyway, just something that we should watch entering this game tonight against the Los Angeles Rams. If you want to take a look at the prediction piece up on the San Francisco Standard, go ahead and do that. You could sign up, and you should sign up for the Standard membership. This has been open for only a couple days, and I think that we're over 1,000 already. So a lot of people are coming up and supporting the 49ers coverage of the San Francisco Standard. It is the most in-depth 49ers coverage you're going to find anywhere. You can also put on email alerts for my articles so they hop into your inbox. So when you go to the link that's in the description, or will be in the description here soon as I send it to Mike, he has it right now. If you go to that link, you can sign up for a membership, and that's going to include some live meet and greets with me. Tim Lombardi herself, probably part of that. Lombardi herself has been making some great content lately. If you go to my Instagram at Lombardi himself, pretty easy to figure out, then you will actually be able to see the latest reel. She did a day in the life video following me around during the game against the Seattle Seahawks. That didn't end up very good for the 49ers, but maybe this one ends up better, and we'll play the day in the life video on the YouTube after the game today from Levi's, but go ahead and check it out on Instagram right now. Anyway, prediction is up on this article. I'm going to be giving it here in a few minutes. First, though, Steve Young had a message on the 49ers' lack of grit that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan paid attention to, and that's what ultimately led to Brock Purdy and Deommodore Lenoir addressing the team ahead of the win against the Bears on Sunday. Have a listen to John Lynch talking about this.
Out and called me before the team meeting. He said, hey, I'm thinking of having a couple of our guys talk. And, Steve Young had said something about grit or lack thereof of our team. And I had showed it to Kyle early in the week. And I think we respect Steve a lot because he's one of us and he cares about this team a lot. So he's not just a hater who's out there throwing stuff. He said what he thought about our team in the last couple of games. And, we talked, but we think we're a very gritty team, but we hadn't shown it. So we talked about who are the grittiest players we can put up there. And we thought of Demo. And then Kyle right away said, I don't often have Brock do it. I think because quarterbacks have so much on their plate with game plans and all that, but I'm going to have Brock talk. And I thought that was tremendous. And then being there at the team meeting, Demo was tremendous. I think really inspired his teammates. Brock was just unreal and just gave a really great message. We'll leave what he said, but really I think Kittle already talked about it. He talked about playing desperate, and not in a negative sense, but playing with a great sense of urgency. And I felt like from the first snap, we looked like a team who played with a great deal of urgency. And so it's not about the words, it's about the way we played, but certainly played inspired football. I thought Kyle handled the week really well. And
I mean, everything for the 49ers last week, from the 5-play, 70-yard drive to open. Kyle Shanahan seemed better. I talked about him needing to regain the fastball. I think he did so through those screen passes. They saw those pirate fronts, the stunts that you saw from the Chicago Bears. Aggressive defensive end play finally got Kyle Shanahan back into a screen pass rhythm. The short passing game set up the explosive passing game. 5 plays to go the length of the field for the 49ers to open that, and then the defense was able to dig in with a lead. Yetur Gross-Matos, 3 sacks, NFC Defensive Player of the Week. We're still waiting on Nick Bosa's status for today. Maybe by the end of the show, I have an update for you, or maybe I'll give it to you from Levi's Stadium. But when Yetur had 3 sacks and when Leonard Floyd on the other side had 2 in that game against the Bears, that definitely got the 49ers off on a good foot as far as being able to control the flow of the game defensively. And it was Yetur Gross-Matos who actually came off the field talking about a playoff win. And that same sense of urgency, the grit that the 49ers needed to show, I think they communicated a lot of that by saying, hey, this is the postseason now. Yeah, we may still have 5 games to go in the regular season, but we've lost some of these games. We've slipped against the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, the Rams, who the 49ers are playing today. They said that we've slipped in these games, so we need to come out and play as if our season is on the line today, which it essentially was against the Bears, and it essentially is against the Rams tonight. Speaking of that, Isaac Guerendo and Dre Greenlaw are both in for the 49ers. The fact that Guerendo cleared and the news passed so early in the morning is good. There's no pregame workout needed to determine if he's going to be ready to go. He is in, feeling good on the foot sprain. And then Dre Greenlaw has been trying shooting for this day for a long time. This has been the day that the 49ers have circled on the calendar, and Dre Greenlaw has progressed toward it from the torn Achilles. He's not going to have a full snap workload tonight, but he can bring immediate energy to the 49ers. And it was just at the Super Bowl in February that he tore his Achilles. Just the fact that he's suiting up and back out there with 4 games left to play can give the 49ers a nice boost. I mentioned earlier, they don't need Dre Greenlaw that acutely right now, which is a really nice luxury to have. Devondre Campbell's been playing his best football over the past few games, has definitely acclimated to the system. The 3 highest graded defenders from the win against the Bears were Campbell, Jalen Graham, and D. Winters. Now, Fred Warner is toughing it out through this broken foot or broken ankle. It's a fracture in his ankle, but he's not playing his best football, but the other linebackers seem to be playing their best football. And Dre Greenlaw is obviously the Robin to Fred Warner's Batman when the 49ers are at their best. So he can add to that depth for now, can be that spark plug that he has been in limited snaps, and then his role should grow over the course of this final month of the season. So exciting times indeed for the 49ers, who are also waiting to see the status of Nick Bosa. That may be down to a pregame workout. He officially is questionable. That is an upgrade from doubtful ahead of the game last week. Pregame meal, we went to see Elias at Le Sandwich in North Beach. And if you ever go, just tell him to make whatever he made me if you want this. He made some carnitas today, like fresh. He's like, hey, taste it as soon as I walked in. And then he mixed it up with some ham in there, obviously avocado and the eggs. I'm going protein heavy. I'm building muscle right now. So this sandwich obviously did the trick as far as protein heavy. Less sandwich, some of the most gourmet sandwiches you'll ever have in North Beach. All right, why don't we go back to the prediction piece, because that's what we're going to talk about. 49ers, Rams today. First things first, yes, the Rams are coming off a game where the offense looked awesome against the Buffalo Bills, but so are the 49ers. And then we say, okay, which team's defense is better? And the 49ers have ranked better. The 49ers are ranked in the top 10 defensively. I know the 2 games preceding the Chicago game were absolutely brutal without Nick Bosa, but they finally showed that they have a pulse without Nick Bosa on that side of the ball. The Rams throughout this season have been number 17 defensively and number 29 against the pass. 29 against the pass. And that's EPA. The EPA ranking is what I talk about for the pass defense. 49ers lit them up in the pass game in week 3 in SoFi. No Deebo Samuel in that one. Brandon Ayuk wasn't back in shape, wasn't back in form yet, but Jawan Jennings went for 11, 175, and 3 touchdowns. It was a Jerry Rice type performance from Jawan Jennings against the Rams. Ronnie Bell dropped the pass that should have set the 49ers up for a win. It was a dime from Brock Purdy deep. The Rams defense didn't win that game for him. The Rams ate the 49ers alive down the stretch with their offense. Tutu Atwell got behind Charvarius Ward. The Rams went for it on 4th down with a fake punt. That earned them a possession. That earned them 7 points they wouldn't have otherwise gotten and stemmed the tide. And then the 49ers offensively saw a drop from Brandon Ayuk and a drop from Ronnie Bell, maybe 2 drops from Ronnie Bell in that game. The Rams defense did not do anything to beat the 49ers in that game. Brock Purdy played one of the most efficient games of his career, which is saying something since he's been the most efficient NFL quarterback since joining the league in 2022. And, I love a player like Jared Verse, but I don't love really anybody else on that Rams defense. There is no more 99, no more Aaron Donald for this team. 49ers had their way with the Rams defense in week 3 with their offense, and I think that the same can happen today. Now, I'm not really sure about the 49ers defense's ability to stop the Rams. Maybe Dre Greenlaw comes in there, gives them some energy. Matthew Stafford hasn't thrown a pick in 4 games. I know that Yetur Gross-Matos and Leonard Floyd were able to get after the QB last week, but Caleb Williams is not very good. He ran into a lot of sacks. Matthew Stafford is a whole lot better. And the Rams' offensive line is in a much better place than it was when the 49ers first faced them in week 3. So if Nick Bosa doesn't play, and I almost have to treat this as if he won't as I'm speaking right now, but say that he doesn't play, I think the 49ers have a really hard time slowing down the Rams offense. I'm just looking at facts in this game. So I think that Purdy and company are going to have to win in a shootout. The good news is that I do think that Purdy's got mobility that Matthew Stafford doesn't have. And I think that the 49ers are at home. We'll see if the rain does hold up. I think that's big, but Stafford's going to struggle in the rain too. So that's going to affect both quarterbacks in this football game if that does happen. Ultimately, I think the 49ers do win this game 34-31. That's the same score as the NFC Championship game of last year. I like Purdy more than Stafford just because of the mobility in this game. I think that Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay have both woken up, and I think the 49ers defense is a little bit ahead of where the Rams defense is, even without Nick Bosa. Now, if the 49ers have Bosa, I think they could hold the Rams under 30 in this game. But for now, I'm going to say both teams crack 30. It's going to be a shootout tonight at Levi's Stadium. That's assuming the rain doesn't turn into too big of a factor, and I do think the 49ers win this game 34-31. Now, there's a lot at stake in this football game, like a massive amount at stake in this game. If the 49ers win, they can relax over the course of this longer weekend, and they could really wait for Seattle, Green Bay on Sunday night. If the Packers are able to beat the Seahawks, and the Packers are 3-point favorites for Sunday Night Football, the 49ers will be right back in the thick of the NFC West race because it'll drop the Seahawks to 8-6 if that happens. And the 49ers will be back at 7-7. So there'll be a game down of Seattle with 3 games to play. And Seattle still has to play the Rams at home, and they still, a home game for the Rams. The Rams at SoFi, that's the Week 18 game, and they have to play the Minnesota Vikings at home. So the Seahawks very possibly still have 2 losses in them past this week. But it all really, really depends on if the 49ers can beat the Rams and put that kind of pressure on Seattle ahead of them. The NFC West is all really crowded. 49ers don't have another game against Seattle. This is their final game against LA, and then they finish up at Arizona. I get it. The 49ers play the Lions on December 30th, but this is a situation where if you're San Francisco, it's a one game at a time thing. The Lions have not been dominant as of late because of all those defensive injuries. And if the 49ers can build up some momentum, return somebody like Nick Bosa either this week, next week, or against the Lions in 2 games, it's going to be anybody's game on Monday night. So it just really depends on which sense of urgency, which sense of grit shows up for the 49ers. It's funny because the Lions talk about grit a lot on their side of the football with Dan Campbell. But tonight is tonight, and this is the game that the 49ers have to conquer first against the Rams. I'm going to answer a couple questions. We're going to move this to a 49ers Q&A, and then I'm going to hit the road and head down to Santa Clara. Oh, Margot Lombardi has called. Lombardi herself was in town. She's not in town for the game. She flew out this morning, so we're going to have to check in with her. I think that she probably just land it back in Nashville. Mike, can you send over the ad read, please? And then we're going to go to questions as we talk to all of you. How's everybody feeling before the game? Go ahead and post those questions. Kenny always has good questions. How can the 49ers defense stop the quick passes? Well, you've got to be recognition is the first thing. So Talanoa Hufanga, who I believe is the best recognizer in the back end for the 49ers, that's big that he's back in there. Remember when he recognized the quick pass from Matthew Stafford in 2022? And no, that was 23. Was it 22 or 23? It might have been 23. He took it back for a touchdown, though. It was 2022. It was 22. Yeah, it was definitely 2022. And he took it back for a touchdown, pick 6 off Matthew Stafford. Remember when Fred Warner recognized the quick Jared Goff pass in 2019? Also in prime time, took it back for a touchdown. I mean, it's those types of plays where you have recognition and you prey on the short passes that dissuade a team from throwing them. So you've got to be smart. You've got to be savvy. You've got to have playmakers. You want to discourage the opposing team from going to that quick game. We don't know if Bosa's playing yet. Some questions coming in on that. I will update you as soon as I know a little more. When am I going to go on first things first and tell Nick Wright he's clueless? I think we already know that. I don't know about Nick Wright's other takes, but he is clueless about Brock Purdy. Everybody that tries to denigrate Brock Purdy, who has the most games with a passer rating of over 120 over the course of his career, over the first 3 years of his career. Anybody trying to denigrate Brock Purdy just doesn't know football or is just trying to get attention. So I'm sure Nick is a smart guy. I don't know if he's out there trying to get attention or what. I mean, TV is TV, but he's wrong on Brock Purdy. I'm right on Brock Purdy, and that's about as simple as it gets. And there's a whole lot of other people who are wrong on Brock Purdy. Always remember that they said that Trey Lance should start instead of Brock Purdy if you want to have a good laugh. Mondo thinks the 49ers need to put the blitz on Stafford. I don't think they need to pressure Stafford. Blitzing is tough because if the blitz isn't effective, then Stafford could pick you apart on the other end. Pressure with 4 has won a lot of football games and has won a lot of championships in the history of football. Can they get pressure with 4? Well, Yetur and Leonard Floyd had great games last week. Now, Nick, that's why we really care about the status of Nick Bosa, because that's the big variable. If you have Bosa, you're probably going to be able to get pressure with 4. If you don't, well, it's much more of a wild card, especially against the healthier Rams offensive line. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. They do a great job coming in every week with a funny ad read. It's good sometimes when we talk about who are we most thankful for. Well, of course, I'm thankful for Mike. We're thankful for Lombardi herself. She made that awesome reel. So you got to go check that out. Thankful for Elias at the Les Sandwich in North Beach, a great spot. And, you know, during the holiday season, it often is time to step back and be thankful. But it's also sometimes something that can cause us to step back and realize that we might need help getting through some things. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Lombardi Lounge today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lombardi Lounge. Continuing with the 49ers Q&A. Just a few more minutes, and then I've got to hit the road. And Mike has the text for it down here. BetterHelp.com/Lombardi Lounge. Appreciate you, Jason. Thank you. Kenny asks, is Jair Brown back in for Mustafa? I would think so. I don't know exactly where Tashawn Gibson stands. He's gotten a snap or two in the past couple games. He's back on the team. So if you think Jair Brown's a big liability and you're Nick Sorensen and the 49ers, you can go with Tashaun Gibson, or you could have Gibson warm on the bench. But Mustafa is not going to be playing in this football game. I think that is a significant loss because he's been playing well. But, I mean, whatever they do, they have to make sure that the angles are sound and that they don't get burnt on those angles in the back half. And I think that's where Jair Brown had been struggling for the 49ers. This is a good point. Hufanga might have better chemistry with Tashaun Gibson. Trent Williams is out, but Jalen Moore has been playing well in his stead. I see somebody asking about Trent Williams. Williams has been ruled out. Bosa has not formally been ruled out, although we'll be waiting for that news, and I'll be reporting on that as soon as I get to the stadium today. Who scores 2 touchdowns tonight? Maybe Isaac Guerendo. I mean, that's a resounding yes on Isaac Guerendo playing this morning. No pregame test needed. That came out early this morning. Good news for the 49ers. So he could be close to 100%, or at least close to 100% effectiveness. Or maybe even Deebo Samuel. I mean, Kenny Hamilton, I featured 3 of his comments so far. Don't put it past Deebo. Now, with Deebo still, Mike and I have been talking about this a lot. We're trying to watch tape. We're trying to see what's going on. I think a lot of things are going on. People who say that Deebo's lost his speed, straight line burst, don't know what they're talking about. He's got speed. He's got the pure speed. That burst is there, and we see it on the kickoff returns. But I do wonder about his foot quickness, and something Tim Kawakami brought up in our San Francisco Standard live the other day. Is the foot quickness there for Deebo Samuel? Because it does appear that some of the short area change of direction, that kind of stuff has given him a little bit more trouble. I understand he's down to 2.9 yards per carry. It's the worst rushing statistics of his career. But I also think that we cannot disassociate Kyle Shanahan's struggles this year. The 49ers have the lowest YAC. They have the lowest separation grade. Kyle Shanahan's play caller grades hadn't been great, and I think he was awesome. I think that he fixed a lot of things. He went back to some of those shorter passes against the Bears, but some of the areas where Kyle Shanahan has struggled for the 49ers have lent directly to Deebo Samuel's struggles, because Deebo's not a standard receiver. He's not a Brandon Ayuk. He's not a Ricky Pearsall. Deebo Samuel is a bulldozer. Get him the ball, bulldozes. He, really good fit with Jimmy Garoppolo, because Jimmy Garoppolo would have that quick release, would get the ball to Deebo Samuel, and Deebo Samuel would do some damage. If the 49ers aren't based as much in YAC, and I think that that's been part of the mistake from Shanahan this year. It's been part of the struggle in the adjustment, counter-adjustment game. They're not going to that short nearly enough, and they did again against Chicago, so that was big. But if that's not happening, that's tough for Deebo Samuel. That's going to hurt him more than most other players. So anyway, there's been some drama on the Deebo front this year. He was frustrated. He tweeted out what he tweeted out a few days ago. So we're going to see if he is motivated tonight against the Rams. I remember some big Deebo performances against the Rams in recent years, and the 49ers can certainly use one tonight. Again, this is up on the San Francisco Standard. Take a look. That is the prediction piece. Earlier this week, went up to Mount Davidson, which was awesome, and we talked about Dre Greenlaw. That was Lombardi herself on the filming up at Mount Davidson. That was a lot of fun. I should get that back up on the screen. Maybe that's something that we play here to take us into the week. I'm going to show you some Mount Davidson footage, first of all. This was a lot of fun. There's Lombardi herself. This is a hike in the middle of the city. It's so cool. We had some really good lighting. You go all the way up to the cross, which was featured in Dirty Harry, and you make it to the highest point in the city. And from there, that's where we did our live. Look, she's got the deli board sweatshirt. This is where the live happened. This is some behind the scenes footage for you guys. It was beautiful, and it is nice today, but I think the rain is going to be coming in here very, very shortly. Margot is not going to be at the game tonight. She just landed in Nashville. I'm going to give her a call here in a few seconds. there you go. Beautiful look at San Francisco from Mount David's. Go check out that video. It was up. When did we put it up? I think on Monday. It was the day after the game. Yeah, that was the day after the game video. It's called, I'm going to find it. It was right here. Huge 49ers development. Brock Purdy supporting cast and a big boost. So what we did is we were up on Mount Davidson with the big cross in the background, and that's Lombardi herself with the camera work. Really good job with the camera work from Lombardi herself. So check it out. It was one of our good videos this week. Then we stopped by the Polgus Water Temple. That was fun as well. And I've got one more video that's going to go up this afternoon ahead of the game, which we filmed from San Anselmo yesterday. We've been all over the place. We've been in San Francisco. We've been out in the South Bay Peninsula, and then yesterday in Marin County. Anyway, I better get to it. Everybody, thanks for watching. Margot will not be at the game tonight, but I think the 49ers are going to win 34-31 over the Rams. Make sure that you head into the description and sign up membership for the San Francisco Standard. If you're a big 49ers fan, this will pay off for you. Trust me, you got a lot of good perks with that. So you can sign up through the link that is in the description. Everybody, take care.